Good morning, listeners, and welcome back to the Internet Marketing and Business Solutions radio show with Ron Couming of RCS Technology Solutions, where we help business owners and entrepreneurs attract, convert, and retain their ideal customers and clients using various Internet marketing techniques and methods so they can achieve even greater success. The purpose of this radio show is we break it up into 2 or 3 sections, time allowing, and in the first 2 sections I bring on subject matter experts who can both tell you about whatever it is, whatever service or product that they offer that might possibly help you, but more importantly, the process that they went through in from the beginning stages to where they are now. And in learning those processes, it will help you as a business owner and entrepreneur navigate some of those pitfalls, especially if you have how somebody else had what their solution was, so you can get out of it even quicker or hopefully even avoid it altogether. Our first guest today is Kate Beeders, and she is the breakthrough expert and founder of Brilliant Builders. She helps entrepreneurs and corporate professionals tap into their zone of brilliance and accelerate their success. Prior to coaching, Kate was a successful business development and marketing professional and started her career as a flight attendant, which is the ultimate education and customer experience. Over the last 5 years, Kate has helped thousands of people go from stuck to successful with her money acceleration system and is a sought-after speaker at events across the United States. She is also the best-selling author of the book, The Winning Way. Good morning, Kate. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, Ron. How are you?
Excellent. Very grateful you could finally come on the show. It's been a while.
I know. I'm happy to be here. And I was just kind of thinking, like, wow, imagine being able to avoid all the pitfalls. Like, what fun would that be, right?
Well, that's true. I mean, it might not be as much fun, right? I don't know, I guess, what your definition of fun is, but, you know.
I know. Can you imagine if it went perfectly? I mean, how wild would that be, right?
Yeah, and what a lot of people don't realize is the word itself, entrepreneur, if you look it up, it means the ability to withstand risk. So it's inherent in the whole, just the name itself, so.
Well, that is so cool. That is so cool. So maybe, you know, just this passing thought that it just kind of popped up is that maybe, you know how, you know, I mean, you're in Massachusetts too. You know, you go to drive, you get take a driving test. Maybe they need to have people take an entrepreneurship test before they become one, and just saying, like, are you willing to withstand risk?
Yeah, and that's true, because there is, and that's a great thing, and that could help with what we talk about with being stuck, too. A lot of people, I mean, for better or worse, it's not right or wrong. Not everybody is right to be an entrepreneur. You know, some people I know, very high-quality people, they get paid a lot of money, they have a very good life, and they work for someone else. And, you know, they like that. They like that stability, the mental and the emotional stability in knowing that this day this, that day this, and every week I'm getting paid. So there are, you know, benefits to employment as well. But for me, being an entrepreneur is absolutely the way to go, because, you know, you set I mean, it's just so many positives, but.
Oh, I'm with you on that. But, you know, interestingly enough, I don't know about you, but I was an accidental entrepreneur. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but then when I actually did, you know, my business, it was totally by accident. It was when the economy tanked. So, and I never thought, I mean, I was like, to your point, what you were just saying is that before the economy tanked, I loved my career. I was making a pile of money. I thought the company was great. I loved my clients. I mean, I thought I'd be doing it till like the day I, you know, could no longer work.
Yep, and my friend Leo Leiden, he's an accountant, he has a show too, but he talks about people being unintended consultants. Mm-hmm. So when the market tanked, or when, the economy switched and so many people got laid off, they had to become some type of a consultant or a specialist to make ends meet. And from there, it was unintended. It wasn't what they saw their projection as, and but then they just stuck with it, a lot of them, and been a lot successful. Plus your quality of life. For me, like, I'm going to speak at an event in San Diego. I'm leaving on the 2nd, and then I'll speak for 3 or 4 days, but then I'll just stay in San Diego for 3 or 4 more days, following up with people in that area, but also, on the beach and making phone calls. I mean, so the quality of life of what I have now, I certainly couldn't mirror in many, employment situations.
Well, exactly. I mean, asking for time off, right? Because I do the same as you. I travel around North America, and as a main stage speaker as well. And I mean, what it's like in corporate. You have to ask for time off and see if somebody will cover for you. And so totally. I mean, we make our own decisions, and I wouldn't go back for $1 million. So.
No. Well, I might for $1 million, as long as it was a 1 or a 2 year contract. And
$1 million after taxes, right?
Exactly. And I'd retire. But anyhow, so tell us a little bit more about, you're the founder of the Brilliance Builders, and you've written a book. Tell us more about you, and who's your ideal customers and clients, and how you help them.
Sure. So I kind of in a nutshell, I came out of corporate. I was a business development executive, Ron, and it's very similar to entrepreneurship, because when I first started, I was given a list of nothing, just like us as entrepreneurs. Unless you buy a franchise or something, you always start out, with a list of zero. And I had to learn how to turn that into clients, because if I didn't make money, I wouldn't eat. And so I had to learn how to find clients. I had to get comfortable with my marketing message, figure out the magic price point, be comfortable talking about money, learn to overcome objections, get repeat business, get referrals. And many of these clients I kept for, 16, 18 years while I was in the corporate world. And so when I became an entrepreneur, like I was saying, accidentally when the economy tanked, it was actually because I had started learning this mindset technique called tapping, which is very, very powerful. And but again, initially it was all by accident. And I thought being an entrepreneur would be, well, I already know how to sell, so this is going to be pretty easy. And much to my dismay, it was not as easy as I thought, because when you go to sell yourself, it's very, very different than selling someone else's widgets, because you tend to, especially women, tend to take it very, very personally, and as a result, either stop asking for sales, giving it away, doing trades, discounts, all sorts of stuff, instead of really owning their worth. So that was a journey I had to kind of go through myself. There were times it was very uncomfortable, but I had to learn how to figure it out, and, working with coaches. And so the way I work with people today is I understand marketing very, very well. So I combine marketing strategies as well as mindset, which is, in my world, the way I'm using mindset is, whether it's tapping, which used to be known as EFT, emotional freedom techniques, laws of attraction, and now I'm also pulling in neuroscience. So when I'm able to pull all those together, both sides of the right and left brain, and pull them together, I just find that the people I work with just tend to skyrocket. And because, we all know you can teach someone something, but then their fears and doubts and stories and self-image and all that stuff gets in the way. So I pull them together, Ron, and not only has it helped me build, an extremely profitable business, but also help my clients, be able to do the same. And that's what I want to do, because, entrepreneurship, is technically the fastest growing industry there is right now, especially for women. And unfortunately, as we all know, most entrepreneurs don't make as much money as they'd like, and it's nothing to do with how smart they are or how talented they are. It's just really they just don't know how to run a business and how to make money. So I want to be, that's kind of my mission to do it. And the last thing I kind of want to add is that I just recently, probably in about 2 or 3 weeks, had my second book published. And it happened as a result. I've been wanting to write the second book for a while. It's called Go or Don't Go, and it's on Amazon. And I've been wanting to write it for a while, and you know, like how life is, you know, things get in the way. And my dad passed away last year, and I had the honor of holding one of his hands as he took his final breath. And I just decided, like, you know, life is too short, and I wanted to honor my dad and that experience. So that really propelled me to write the second book, which is something that, you know, is totally from my heart, that teaches both the mindset and the marketing in it.
I love it, and I'm very sorry to hear about your father. I knew you back then, and when we talked about, we conversed during that time too. One of the main things I really like about all of what you just said is the diversity of what you said. When I speak to my clients, and we do marketing, but we focus mostly on the internet, not print marketing and stuff like that. So we do help people, whether it's social media or the internet, get them on the search engines, the first page, so people can find them and hire them. But even in that realm, there is like, you know, probably 10, you know, at a lowball number, there's 10 different things we can do in any different format or forum, right? But what you just talked about was like a whole nother dimension. So sometimes my clients get stuck, and you know, our listeners may be there too, get stuck in like, well, my friend Sally or Bob did this and it worked for them, or they tried that and it didn't work for them, and they get stuck in that, right? But they don't realize that there is, well, whether that worked or not for them, it may work for you because you're different, your message is different, your product and services are different, but they have to have an open mind to try different things because it's not one size fits all. And I firmly believe that a business's success, 90% of a business success is marketing. You can have the best products, the best services, you can have the cure to cancer, but if people can't find you, they can't hire you or they can't utilize your services, and you can't help them. So I really like the diversity of all the different things you just mentioned, and we can get a little more specific, but let me ask you a quick question. If we had 3 sets of people listening, let's say one set was brand new, and they're just thinking about go or not go, and the second set is a group of people who have been in business for 18 to 24 months, roughly, and they're just starting to turn a profit, all right? They've gotten over the hump. And then we have another group of people who have been in business for 5 years, and they've achieved some success, but they know that there's so much more they can do, and there's so many more people that they can help. In the tip you give, let's say you can give 3 if you have it. One or more may be the same for every level, but given those 3 levels, could you give the listeners like a couple of different ideas on what they could do, beginning, intermediate, and advanced?
Sure, and I think it's actually kind of the same, except that you're in a different place. But it's the same thing. One thing that I really focus on, Ron, is helping people build a really strong foundation in their business. And I believe that's really, really important because let's say they want to take on some of the marketing strategies that you have. If they don't have a strong foundation, everything will collapse. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So they have to have the strong foundation, meaning they have to know exactly what is it that they want to create, which they're constantly evaluating, because what you want to create as a brand new entrepreneur is going to be very, very different than what you want to create when you're 5 years into it. I know a lot of times in the beginning, let's say coaches, for example, they're all like, oh, I just want like 1 million clients. Well, often I find, after they've been doing this for about a year, they're like, no, I just want a big group program. I don't want to work with so many people. So, by strong foundation, I think that means constantly, my clients do it every quarter, evaluating, like, what is it, rewriting your business, whether you're tweaking it or totally redoing it. So what is it that you want to create? And I think that's really, really critical. I think the next thing is also looking at, so what's in the way? And these are both real and perceived things. So real could be, maybe you don't have the team member to do it, or you don't know how to do it, something like that. And perceived could be something, well, I don't see myself as that technical, or no one in my town, whatever, the things that you're telling yourself. And then you want to work through those blocks. And we all have them at every different level, Ron, whether you're a newbie or whether you're, you're 5 years. I mean, I work with clients who are new, and I work with clients who are 7 figures and everywhere in between. And we all have blocks because each layer just, each time we up-level, it just brings in a new layer. And it's really just, constantly saying to ourselves, like, where are you going and what's in the way, what's holding you back? And so constantly having that focus of what is it that you want to create, because I believe it's just as easy for somebody at 5 years to kind of get stuck in the day-to-day, working in their business, as it is for a newbie, and it's being able to take that focus and start to work on your business as opposed to in your business. So I'm kind of saying the same thing for everybody. It's just that you're in a different place, what you want and what you need. In the beginning, it's more just like, will this thing even work? That's that big fear that's running through it. The second phase, you have you've got some clients, but you're trying to figure out how do I bring in more consistent income. And the third is like, so where do you want to go with this thing? But you got to have that strong foundation. You got to know where you want to go and have the resources to help you clear out whatever pops up and holds you back.
I love it. And you also touched on a great point, too, where getting out of your business to work on your business. Michael Gerber has a great book out called E-Myth Revisited, and he really talks about those differences, infancy to adolescence. And so that's a great book for the listeners to go out and get, or you can get it from the library probably for free and just listen to it or read it. But I like what you said, and I like the fact that you're right. At different stages, people's mindsets are different, and they need to understand wherever they're at. I also like how you touched on learn it, do it, and delegate it. If that's not your genius zone, those weren't your exact words, but if this is not your genius zone, delegate that. Learn enough about it so somebody's not taking advantage of you. But delegate that and focus on the 1, 2, or 3 activities that are your highest generating money-making activities, and delegate all the other stuff that's like minimum wage or, $10, $15, $20 an hour. Pay somebody else to do that so you can focus on your big-ticket items.
Exactly. And also, too, it's that when you start getting to a higher level, one thing my coaches have always said to me is like, well, you've earned the right to not do this, you've earned the right to do that. And, which means you also start earning the right to say, so back to your thing about the 3 different levels, that when you're at a higher level, you really, provided you're doing, you have a business that's moving forward, you've earned the right to say, like, what should or shouldn't I do? And be able to say no to some things. In the beginning, I don't know about you, Ron, but I was saying yes to everything. And I think that at a certain point, then you get to say, so do I want to do this? And listening less to the shoulds and say, like, what feels aligned to me and the kind of business that I really want. And that's so important. Like, I talk about working in your brilliance, and that's really understanding, not just what you're really good at, but what's the stuff that just lights you up, that just feels so much easier as you're going through your days, that makes you happier, that you enjoy it, because starting your own business and having your own business is not easy by any means. And if you're not enjoying it, then there's no point. Then you might as well get a job. So you always want to be checking in with yourself and asking yourself, like, does this light me up? Does it feel good? Is it exciting? Am I enjoying it?
Nice. We've got about 7 minutes left. And I want to let the listeners know that this show, like all shows, are archived on the radio station's website, 980 WCAP AM, and on my website, rcstechnologysolutions.com. Just go to the media tab and click on radio show. So if you heard something, and I'm sure you have, and you can go back and re-listen to it. Kate, I'd like you to give your contact information now and then maybe again at the end so people can reach out to you. And then, the next 5 or 6 minutes, just let the listeners know whatever it is that you can really help them with so they know to reach out and contact you.
Sure. So the best thing they can do is they can always check out my website, which is katebeeders.com, BEEDERS.com. You can also email my team, info@katebeeders.com. One thing we really didn't talk about, I want to get a little bit into mindset, because I've been speaking on stages about that recently, well, for a long time, but really getting a lot of questions and things about this. And one thing I talk about is people's money story, and we haven't really talked about that. So if we can just spend a couple of minutes on that, that would be great, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. We got about 4.5, 5 minutes, and it's all yours.
Okay, great. And I want to just tell people that obviously in 4 minutes I don't have time to dive super deep in, but you can always go and take a quiz to find out your own money story, and you go to katebeeders.com/money story quiz. That's katebeeders.com/money story quiz. It's a free quiz. So what I want to talk about with the money story is that, let's say you're hiring Ron, for example. You're hiring anybody, and you want to, or you're bringing in new resources because you want to increase your income. You've got to make sure your money story is where you want it to be. Because otherwise you can bring in the best resources, you can hire amazing people, all sorts of stuff. But if you've got this belief that money is not a good thing, that money's bad, that having a lot of money is bad, we know the really basic things like rich people are evil and stuff like that, but understand there's so much more involved with your money story that it doesn't matter who you hire, what you bring in, you can really easily end up sabotaging all the good work that you're doing. And so, for example, one of my clients, she was about, 6, 7 years old, and really close with her dad. She and her dad did everything together. She was a daddy's girl. All that was great. Her father got this big promotion, and it was so they had this big party celebrating his success, and he became a CEO for a Fortune 500 company. And as a result, he was traveling all over. He wasn't home very much, and when he'd come home, he was always complaining. He was tired. He was cranky, and never had time for his little girl, my client, who he was very, very close with. So, what happened is she had come to me because she wanted to increase her income. She couldn't cross over 6 figures, and she was playing that good month, bad month thing where, she'd start getting clients, but then she'd lose them. So she never built up the momentum, couldn't figure out why. And when she shared this story with me, I was able, and as I tell you the story, I'm kind of pulling the threads together. Understand her that when she was sharing this with me, the threads were not this obvious, but that in her young mind, she thought of success as being a bad thing. And because she saw what happened to her father, that he became unhappy and stressed out all the time when he had success. Most entrepreneurs determine certain numbers of success, like 6 figures, $250,000, $500,000, $1 million. So in her mind, she still interpreted to be successful would mean that she'd be unhappy, stressed out, not nice. So technically, not on purpose, she was sabotaging the money she was bringing in because she didn't want to be unhappy. So understand we do all these things with our mindset, and, for some of your listeners, you might be used to hearing about mindset. Some of you may not be. I've got zillions of stories like this that people do, again, not on purpose, but just how they view money, and how they view money will affect them in their lives, and as a result, they end up sabotaging, all the good work that they're doing. And like I said, I don't want to see that happening to people. So the point is you want to uncover your money story, figure out what that is, shift it, become more aligned with money so that you think of money and having more as a good thing and the good things you can do with it. And then you're much more likely to have all these other things work with you as opposed to against you.
Yeah, I think that's great information, and I can actually see the tie-in there. They spent so much time together, and then he got the promotion, and they started spending less time together, and he's cranking. Yeah, I can definitely see that. But because I'm on the outside in the way you explained it, so I'll bet you that there's many people that have experienced similar things in their lives in growing up.
Well, we all have, in various different things. I mean, one of my clients saw her dad would go to work every day, and her mom would go out shopping and, never like to tell the father what she was out buying, so she would hide things in the car trunk, and then she'd bring them out like a month or so later, and the father would say, like, oh, is that new? And the mother would say, oh, no, I've had this for a while. Well, truthfully, she's had it for a while. It's been sitting in the car trunk for a month. And so my client learned that money is not something that people feel good about, and she saw people lie about it. So she would technically always do things to sabotage. Again, understand when I say sabotage, it isn't on purpose. This is just like what the way the story came out is that she was actually hired for a speaking gig. They were paying her 6 figures, and she'd never been paid that much in her life for a speaking gig. And she was like, I'm not worth that much money. And all of a sudden she started going into her money story, actually lost her voice the day before and wasn't able to speak at the speaking gig. And that's why she came to work with me. So understand, we have all these little stories in our lives of how we witness money, and that affects the money we bring in today.
Wow. All right, Kate, that's excellent, and thank you so much. Can you just give everybody your contact information one more time? Sure.
info@katebeeders.com. That's Kate, B like boy, 2 E's, D like David, ER, S as in Sam.com. And would love to connect with anybody who feels that I might be of service to them as they move forward.
And you do live events, too. If I remember, you did one in Needham not too long ago, right?
In Wellesley, yep,
Wellesley.
right outside of Boston, and I actually have one coming up in June, conversationstoclientslive.com, where it's the whole sales conversation thing. We're talking about what you say, the script, why you say it, as well as a whole mindset piece, dealing with objections and the money story and the magic price point and all the things that are going on in your head and your prospect's head and how to overcome that so you feel really authentic and good and comfortable with it.
Excellent. Super important things to know, especially if you're an entrepreneur or want to be. Kate, I want to thank you very much for being on the show. Everyone, you've been listening to Kate Beeders on the Internet Marketing and Business Solutions radio show with Ron Couming, where we help business owners and entrepreneurs achieve even greater success by attracting, converting, and retaining their ideal customers and clients using various Internet marketing techniques and methods.